Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 5-0 podcast. Oh my
Woo!
God. We are so back. Uh,
Uh,
Five things about Smash CPU Ultimate Draft League. I'm joined by Mike. This is MaxSchersey. Mike, welcome to 2025.
I
This is
know.
our Spring Open preview pod. Are you excited to get back into it?
I am excited. They say third time is a charm, but people really liked the first two times we did this, so I don't know.
We're just going to have to be that much more epic and awesome.
Yeah, big expectations for a big season coming up ahead. Uh,
Word.
I think to start it off like how we did last year's episode that we recorded around this time, the March episode. I started off with a quick recap of last year's playoffs, the 2024 playoffs.
But before we do
Oh,
that, for for those who have not been up in the know, uh plans for how we're gonna change the format this year, just like how we changed from 23 going into 24. Once we get to the regular season for UDL, the idea that we had for the podcast this year, just to we're always trying to find ways to make this easier for everyone and like focusing on the stuff that people like the most and whatnot. So the idea is we're probably going to have this be like 90% a a recap podcast
yeah,
going forward. Talk about here's what happened in this division, this division, this division. Maybe not like every single match that happens, but like what's your division update?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and our plans to probably fill in about a half hour with a combination of that, maybe a little bit of a preview for next week, and I think the idea is we still want to have the fan questions as a possibility,
Hmm.
uh, but call into the show because that segment was epic. Who could forget Moni's question in week 6 or whatever that was? Really important stuff. But that does mean no Riz report this year.
Yeah,
Uh
we got to keep it fresh. Got to keep it
because
fresh.
it got a little stale at the end of last year, if we're being honest here. And probably no awards just because it's so much effort to do those for I don't know. Maybe not as much reward as if we just actually focused on the divisions more. So, full
Yeah,
transparency, that's the idea for the regular season this year.
yeah. We'll see how the rhythm
And open to
develops.
suggestions
Yeah,
as well.
we'll see how the rhythm develops as we actually get into the season. And also, it opens the floor that if you guys want to make your own stuff about UDL, you can go for it. We don't have a monopoly on this type of stuff. I'm just
Exactly right.
saying. Hey, more content, always good for stuff like this. But now to get into the quick 2024 playoffs recap. We started off with the Alpha Conference Round One. Started off with a bang, immediate, just 8 seed over 1 upset of Bren over Tribal, or I guess technically I think it was 6 or 7 seed, whatever. Uh, that upset went kind of crazy in the moments. It still was a crazy upset looking back on it, but now it's more of like these advanced stats and like statistics have come out about last year. Isn't as crazy as you initially thought. Bren having one of the most stacked rosters in the whole league, like mathematically based off the salary cap.
It's really good.
Yeah. So and also
I think we knew that already. Like we
yeah,
knew his lineup was ridiculous.
but now it's like actually in writing
But
that it's like he had like a
yeah,
top three like most stacked roster in the league. Uh, yeah, and then also yeah, Truck Mud who after starting off 6-0, then losing their next five, ended up going on a huge run in the playoffs. After avoiding a generational choke. Um, Max finally getting his first playoff win.
huge for the culture. Couldn't bring home the three-time division champion like was being foretold last year. But I did get my playoff dub uh, against Tep, who won the division. So I don't know. Proxy won the division.
BP also getting his first playoff win as a result of Sickest Wolf having a Heartbreaker of the Year candidate last year with a very rough SD. BP capitalized on that and ended up running it all the way to the finals as a result.
Hmm.
In the Mega Round 1, you had Koishi getting it done over Akagi, 1 over 8 seed. Just what do you expect to see in a 1 versus 18 matchup? Ice 10 bombing Yaktub. It looked like Ice was gonna do his classic. Let me make my second half of the season run into the top 4 like he had done the previous 2 years, but Koishi did stop him in round 2. Uh, H-Kun getting the run back over Uh-Oh from the regular season, and Krillin beating Orchid in back-to-back weeks from week 12 and the round 1 of the playoffs. Uh, then obviously just going in the round 2 again, Koishi going up to 2-0 over Ice in the playoffs all time. You had H-Kun continuing his run through the playoffs. Truckmud and BP meeting in the conference finals. BP beating Truckmud with about a similar margin as they did in the regular season. H-Kun finishing off the year with 2 6-6 wins to clinch his second UDL title. It's crazy. It's just, I don't know. Just looking back on it, it's just crazy to see how close a lot of these matches were. I mean, it actually had a
Yeah.
good variety of blowouts and just very close matches. The playoff expansion definitely did not disappoint this
No, a
past
lot of
year.
cool storylines going on in the playoffs, man. Between I mean, first of all, that grand final set was
Insane.
I think one of the better sets we have had. I
Hmm.
think that's it felt like a real culmination of the summer in a really cool way. Um, and yeah, some of the individual moments sprinkled in there were very good. Obviously, I'm gonna be biased and point out myself as well as BP getting first playoff wins, and then we faced off against each other. That was a fun round two there. Um, and like you said, Ice with the fucking 10 bob in round one. That felt like a moment for sure. Like here we go. Even though it didn't really turn into too much after that, but that was a pretty good moment. Um, just HQ in general is as he was going through bracket, we talked about in that playoff preview. I think we spent a decent amount of time saying HQ has a real chance to run the table. So I
Yeah,
feel like we weren't too off on that.
it was again as these statistics have come out more, and also it was predicted by BP to in his thing that he did at the beginning of last year with his like difficulty of schedules and stuff like that. HQ did have one of the easiest schedules in the league, but obviously he showed up in the playoffs and he said, "Hey, this my team is not fraudulent in the slightest. Like it's he obviously didn't destroy like a lot of his playoff opponents as much as he did towards the end of that like easier end of the schedule he had. Let's be real, like kind of inflated his differential a bit, but it clearly wasn't a type of thing where it's like I'm only at like good. My team only looks good because of my schedule. It's his team was just that good still. Yeah, we'll see how I know like we started to talk about it like a bit towards the like, end of the playoffs last year. I feel like the UDL GOAT debates are really gonna ramp up this year, which I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that's all gonna play out. I feel like right now the top two has got to be HQ or Koishi, but we'll see how that shapes up. I feel like this year's gonna be a pivotal year for that. But yeah, just a nice quick recap of the playoffs. Time to get into the stuff that's more been happening this year now. Starting off with the recent testing time brackets that have been going on, and also just ultimate, just custom mounts ultimate stuff in general that's been happening recently, like leading up to the
Mhm.
Spring Open. Do you have any thoughts on the testing time brackets up to this point?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go in the order of the brackets I have up here. Or
Yeah.
if you hold on, let me look at the dates. Which one came first? Which
FS
one
meter
came
was
first?
first. Going down in order of the FS meter stamina
FS
doubles
Mirror
squads.
Stamina. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's start with FS then. Um, so no balance changes in FS. this year.
Surprisingly.
I think have even been proposed. Honestly, like FS kind of it landed in a pretty okay spot last year, I think. I think maybe if there's any kind of complaints, it's maybe that the mode itself is like boring and not to do with balance, which is certainly better than where we were the last couple of years. That means that uh something's going right.
Mm-hmm.
Um we look at come on, fucking Challenge,
Challenge
piece of
moment.
shit. Yeah. Look at our top end here. Top 10. Jeez. Guys, I'm tired. Just record this after waking up from a nap. Uh, your top eight. We got Uh-Oh winning with Steve. Then we got Soul with Robert. People forget. Actually, no one really forgets. But Rob, former FS GOAT, he's still here. No one really used him at FS last year after he got nerfed. Maybe in like the
I
first couple weeks. I just don't remember Rob being used there very
I used
much.
him in the first half of the season, decent amount there, but towards the end of the season, I did
Okay.
not. He's still
The
good.
narrative was he fell off, but yeah, he got second here. Game and Watch in third.
Off-season
Game and Watch
champion.
being crowned the off-season champion. His FS is like not even good, so that's weird. But whatever. Joker, who is not under the radar anymore because that character was invented by MaxSchersey about 6 months ago in fourth place with Septo. We have or Jaguar with Sonic and Parkour with Kazuya in fifth. Kazuya whip is like -2 ass in Final Smash where that shit has negative
I
knockback
know, but wins over Crom and
is
Lucario
crazy.
back to back is nuts.
It's crazy.
Those are like two of the top
Um,
threats from this last year, mainly in FS.
and then Yoshi and H-Kun, the two seventh places with Yoshi Crom. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like a decent amount of variety. Steve, notably, is was H-Kun's main FS guy
And
as
also
well.
and Ice towards the end of the
And
season.
Ice, but Ice found less success with him
Yeah.
during the UDL regular season through um it felt like he was getting pretty frustrated near the end of the year with Steve. Now, this is stuff that just seems to happen sometimes in season. Like you pick up some
Hmm.
guy that's good, but he's ass for you,
Yeah.
and it's just not fair. I'll admit that I was kind of in the same camp as him for a while, where I'm like, man, why do you think Steve was so good in FS? Like this, like this shit's just average. But I don't know. He's definitely had moments where he goes crazy, so I think it's fair to put him in that upper echelon there. Now, as I'm looking through this, um, I think we kind of assumed that uh Lucario is that guy, and he's like super crazy OP. And we only had one Lucario enter this, and they were outside of top eight. Small sample, obviously, but it's kind of interesting. We have Snake going, I believe that's 0 and 2.
Hmm.
Um, we have Zelda going 0 and 2. I feel like Zelda's not good. Like, wasn't good last year either. Unfortunately, like I want Zelda to be good because she's cool, but um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I would say mainly again, I'd say Steve probably the guy to keep your eye on in this mode. If anyone is gonna get nerfed within FS meter, it'd probably be him next. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, like you said earlier, I feel like the meta for it is in a lot better of a place now. Just overall. Uh yeah, I would say I mean to kind of link this into the stamina bracket too. I feel like because it's just like one person has picked both of these characters and won on I'd say the most interesting runs within both brackets. I would say like Septo's runs in both these brackets with a Joker and FS and then Cloud and Stamina especially.
yeah.
That's like I don't know because Cloud and Stamina he wasn't used there much last year, but like he showed like a little
He
bit of
was good.
potential. Yeah,
Yeah,
but again he wasn't really put there much. But then I mean this run here. Uh, loses immediately to the offseason champion Game and Watch, of course. But then in losers, beating Peach, Luigi, Luigi himself is another one of those characters that showed a lot of potential here. Inkling, run back against Game and Watch, Ices, and Simon all back to back to get second in the bracket. I don't know. Like maybe there's something there, especially for a $3 character like Cloud. We'll have to see. It's only one bracket. It is only one bracket, but that's
Yeah, in that stamina bracket, to clarify, that's what Mike's talking about because we were talking about FS before, and
sorry.
then when
Yeah.
he started talking, he was talking about stamina. Wave's your winner with Aegis. Um, that's kind of been a hot topic, right? Because stamina's so polarizing every year we've done
Mm-hmm.
this. It's kind of I have a feeling we're gonna get some early picks, people like trying to chase upside and stamina because those were league winning decisions the past couple years. Like if
Yeah.
you if you picked Pichu last year, then you won the jackpot, essentially, right? So buy some lottery tickets is perhaps the thought there. And Aegis, there's kind of a thought that maybe that's the next character down the line after Ice Climbers, Olimar, Pichu, Pikachu, Terry are all nerfed. Who's next in line? Maybe it's Aegis. We'll see. Um, Certainly possible. The seeing Ice Climbers still up here in top four
I
is
know it's
it makes me shake my head. Like, why won't these guys just go away?
they also
I
got
don't know.
they also got second in one of the testing brackets last year. Even after they like the first bracket at -2, they still got second or something like that. It's nuts. I know has been a big believer in Ices, saying that they still believe that Ices is gonna be like the top, like one of the top characters in stamina, even at -2. So
Could
I
be.
don't know. Yeah, honestly, the main reason that Ices are remaining even in the $3 tier currently. So
Young Link, Leo got seventh with Young Link, going 2-2. The guy was like 75% win rate or something stupid like that last year after beating no one. So it's such a wild card to me. I think some people might be trying to ride that hype train, and I don't blame them. I think I'm out at his current price. Like, I'm probably too scared to go for that. That could be a league winner, though. Like, I
yeah.
have to acknowledge that that's a potential league winner if you take Young Link and he can repeat what he did last year. But
Hmm.
I'm scared. I'm too scared to do that personally. But yeah, he did show up here in top eight.
I mean, speaking of Young like the set Leo Lawson losers. I mean, Fox getting fifth here. I mean, getting fifth, but one of the most impressive fifth places I think I've ever seen, at least in a format like this, beating Pika, Doc, and Younglink all back to back to back. I don't know. Fox is a character that also has been like
Fox pretty correct.
talked about in stamina for a while now, saying maybe there's something here. I don't know. Again, maybe with these new nerfs coming in.
Hasn't been tried on a large scale,
Yeah,
to my knowledge.
yeah. Also, uh, one that like I think one that you definitely have to look a bit more at the run to see like okay, I don't know if it's definitely not a super convincing performance like me getting third with Simon, which again it's was like I think actually the only person to take a game off of Wave's Aegis, but also the wins to get there was over Wii Fit, Min Min, and Game and Watch. So it's like I don't know. The Belmonts have definitely been a character I've been keeping my eye on potentially of moving up from the $2 tier to like a $3 or something like that just because of stamina alone. Really, we'll have to see more of that. Again, more of these testing brackets will happen after the Spring Open.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just wanted to get like a few of the like one at least one bracket of each of these formats out before the Spring Open happened, just at least kickstart it like the testing a little bit. But then moving into the
Then
doubles
doubles.
bracket.
Byleth and Pac-Man, baby. I don't know how many double sets the rest of y'all have ran because I don't know. Some of y'all BP. Be keeping your cards close to your chest and such. But I think Byleth Pac-Man is pretty much broken. And I'm not like super pushing for either of them to get nerfed in doubles, but I think that's the best team in the format right now, and there's not a lot of things that beat it. And then I won this tournament without losing a set. Got close to losing the Jaguar in winners finals with his Sephiroth Mewtwo,
Yeah.
which I've been telling y'all that Sephiroth is like he's not a fraud in doubles. He's pretty situational, but I think Jaguar clearly knows as well that Mewtwo's probably a good partner for him. So
Mm-hmm. Also, only a
yeah,
$4 team there too. That's
right,
that's pretty huge in itself.
right.
Uh, I mean, I feel like this, and also I guess kind of leads a bit into the squad strike bracket. I guess keeping more focus on this, something we haven't really been talking about just in general. Should Byleth move to $6? I feel like there's starting to be more of.
Streets have been asking that.
I feel like there's a bit more like that hasn't really been talked about, but I feel like there's a bit more of an argument for that now, especially with this doubles prowess showing up. I I don't know. I think it's definitely not like a cut and dry type thing. Obviously, I wouldn't say immediately move him to 6, as much as I hate this character. But as the league
It's hard
commissioner,
to say.
I
It's hard to say, like, because we don't see Byleth obviously like featured on a lot of playoff teams the last
mm,
couple years, right? Which is
yeah,
usually the indicator towards okay, maybe they're near the top of the UDL tier list, whatever that is, right?
true.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's Byleth is a theory crafter, team builder's dream to have in a lot of ways, I think. There's a lot of qualities you get with this character that are hard to find at that point in the draft and or in the $5 tier for sure, is what I would say.
Yeah, because I don't. I feel like they are like approaching the type of character that honestly you can maybe even put him anywhere if you need to. Because I mean, like, no one had Byleth stamina pinned down. And I still wouldn't really say like they're far from the top. But the fact that like yeah, like Tep put Byleth in stamina of all places last year for and still finished with a winning record in the event, like that's just
Right.
yeah. So I don't know. I feel like that's gonna be a character to look out for as well. Just seeing where like what tier they end up in, whether it be $5 or $6. Just I like looking around again. Also, I remember you pointing this out when the bracket was happening. Like there was a very good amount of variety amongst characters in the top 8
A
teams in this
lot.
bracket. Like I mean, heck, a Lucas Mario team getting third. I mean, Lucas has been talked about for a while as being a top doubles character. Mario, he's been used there to like a little bit of success, but I feel like that's
Mario doesn't cleanly fit into what we think are like the qualities of a good doubles character because his recovery is
yeah.
just whatever. Like he's not going around just like killing people at 40% and shit, and he's not living till 200 every stock. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's still putting in that work. It's I find myself having to constantly keep questioning my preconceptions of what I think makes a good doubles character as we continue to find out more and more and more. I think doubles is the most unexplored meta our out of our five by quite a bit, uh, personally. But yeah,
I can agree with
maybe
that.
Mario is just him for a reason that maybe we don't understand yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. And then getting into the squad strike bracket, I mean, I feel like this bracket definitely helped to push the narrative that squads maybe might actually just be a Mickey mode after all. Uh, I don't know. I feel like the grands being comprised of a outside of Byleth of 5 out of 6 characters $2 or less. Uh, Especially in a bracket that had a lot of like pretty good teams in it, like dollar wise. Like I'm looking at here some of the teams in top 8. You had myself, Kirby, Ike, and Gunner. That is a $14 team right there. Uh, Jaguars, Greninja, Aegis, Yoshi. That's a $12 team. Koichi's Ridley, K. Rool, Crom. That is a $13 team right there. But then you have Tribal's team of Fox, Rosa, Richter, $4 being one hit away from winning the tourney. I don't know. It's only one bracket, obviously, but like I feel
Hmm.
like it's kind of is maybe pushing the narrative that maybe he could spend some more on these earlier events, like the your singles, your FS meter, your stamina, your doubles characters, and just be fine with having lower value characters in this mode.
Well, that's certainly what it seems like, right? But I guess your counterpoint would be 2024 Max Jersey, who had came to the same conclusion and kind of just punted squads every week by just like putting three fucking bench warmers out there and proceeded to not have a good record in the mode, whereas everyone else hovered close to 500. So I don't know, like maybe I am incorrect in that assessment, and what you were just saying in that instance are incorrect, and maybe there is value to
Yeah.
trying to put together a good team, and perhaps there is a strat that no one's realized yet that this is actually the secret formula to uh, someone that is good in squad strike in a way that they perhaps would not otherwise come through in singles. Maybe that exists. I've certainly searched for it and I haven't found it yet. I cannot I cannot deny that if you were to find such a thing, like find the mythical character that is consistently good in squads, what an enormous competitive advantage you would have every week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite alluring to try and find that, but I don't know if this tournament helped us come to that conclusion at all.
Yeah, originally it was starting out to trying with the like manual character orders on both sides, but it just ended up being too frustrating to set up. So if I can find an easier method to do that before the season starts, maybe like I'll try to do that for this actual season UDL. But as it stands right now, it's likely still gonna stick with just random team order. So yeah, I mean, one other thing I did want to point out, this wasn't necessarily like the UDL like the testing time brackets, but something I feel like at least should note at least a little bit talking about these lower tier characters. Uh, I know we've always been talking about Meta Knight as like an absolute just jobber, like to like have on a team. Maybe like the quote unquote squad's goat, not actually, but like he just randomly shows up like one every like 7 games in squads, like and just single handedly wins it, and then the other 6 he just sucks. But I mean, he actually is starting to show a lot of single success recently, and like in just normal like brackets. Like he's gotten 2 wins within the last like few weeks or so. I don't know if that's like a hot streak, just a hot streak, because that does happen in Ultimate CPUs. It's happened a good amount, or if it's a sign of things to come. Like, is this guy actually a bit better than we thought? I don't know. Again, I feel like I should just at least point that out.
Definitely. And I think a common thread in all these testing tournaments and ones going on in the future, of course, this neatly leads into our next point, is that people are trying to find where they can squeeze the most value out of their low dollar picks going into
Yeah.
our salary cap 2025 season. Meta Knight's a $1 guy. Mewtwo's a $1 guy going back to doubles, who was on a Jaguar second place
Hmm.
team there. Um, uh, Lil Mac is $1 and is on like every single team. We're gonna get to that. You know, stuff like that. Um, Mike, let's talk about character trends for rosters in Spring Open, as
Yes.
our notes document does.
Uh,
Uh, so you told me before we started recording that you crunched the numbers on who is being picked a lot. We can talk about Little Mac,
yeah,
I guess, to open up.
he is the like the elephant in the room. He is rostered on 14 out of 33 teams in the Spring Open, which at least like I said in chats before, I feel like that means he's very likely gonna move up to $2. I cuz I mean, looking back at the results, I think this he does have like easily the best singles results out of any of those characters in the $1 tier, and like he is a bona fide like counter pick character. There are some relevant singles matchups that dude I think just straight up wins, like against Falcon, for sure. Uh, any character like Terry as well. I think just characters that just don't necessarily have the best recovery, which is ironic considering Little Mac himself. I feel like he is a very good counterpick character in those types. So yeah, I it's very likely he's going to move up to $2. We'll see if anyone still picks him up at that $2 amount because we know he's like one of those characters also talked about as a squad's goat. And I mean, he definitely is a character that can flip the tide of a squads match on its head, just with just having KO punch in of itself. We'll have to see how these like if all these little Mac teams like end up dominating this bracket or not, or if a lot of them are going to sputter out in the first round.
Pretty interesting stuff. I don't know if you have any other numbers you want to drop.
I Not necessarily a numbers thing, but I did
Okay.
go through and look. Might have made slight errors with these, but I think I did get them all. There are 7 characters that went unrepped entirely for
Interesting.
the Spring Open, and like most,
Now, without looking, this is kind of my question. Are they all in like the $3, $4 tiers? Or most of
no,
them? Okay.
there is one $6 character, two $5 characters, one four, two threes that has a little asterisk. All the
Hmm.
$2 characters were repped, and only one $1 character that went unrepped. And some of these will definitely surprise you.
Okay.
Like the $6 character that went unrepped is Me Gunner. No team has Me Gunner for the Spring Open.
No one wants to use Mike's favorite gunner.
No one wants to use Mike's favorite gunner. I know Gunner has been a little bit of a contentious figure within the UDL community. Not as much as Richter, the literal murderer, but I mean, not really a good PR agent on that side right now. We'll see if anyone picks them up. Five
Gonna be
dollars.
honest, Mike. I had B gunner at $5 on my tier list. Gonna be honest here.
$5 characters that went unpicked. Lucas. Uh, Bit interesting considering he was
That's pretty surprising.
one of the characters that was higher up in the $5 tier list, like the $5 tier for like the general
Yeah.
values people gave him, and also Rob, which Rob was a character that was the
That
only.
moved up
Yeah, he moved up from four
recently.
to five, for the Spring Open, and so no one ended up picking up him up there. So I feel like that is going to change.
Pretty interesting.
I feel like that will change once the season comes around. But we shall see. I mean, that is a character that, again, we talked about earlier. He's still pretty good in FS meter. Obviously, not nearly as broken as he used to be, but he's still pretty good there. He has had a
Right.
lot more single success recently. That's the main thing with him. Uh, Proven to be a lot more of a reliable pick in that mode than previously thought. So, yeah. $4 character that won unwrapped. Me, Theory, and Shambles. Sword Fighter. No one has picked Sword Fighter for this bracket.
Fire didn't have a good year last year either. Or at least in where he was getting put a lot. Like his doubles record was pretty horrible from what I remember. Everyone thought he was like a GOAT doubles guy for a period before the 24 season. But yeah. Um that's surprising though. He definitely had some moments near the end of the season where he looked legit. But yeah.
And then $3 characters that went unrepped. Well, the one that has a bit of an asterisk, Daisy, but there's 3 Peach reps, so it's like that's yeah, whatever. I guess everyone's just more of a Peach person than Daisy. Uh, but the other one that went unrepped is Ryu, which that doesn't surprise me too much. I feel like he hasn't really been that popular of a pick within
Ryu from Streets.
yeah UDL Sphere.
This this is another guy who if you just look at performance is like a small sample, but he was pretty good in stamina last year.
Hmm.
There's a lot of guys that kind of fall into that category. Like we just talked about Cloud, who
Yeah,
had that good bracket performance. Um, yeah, there's a lot of guys that are in that kind of range. Ryu's one of them. I'm kind of surprised no one at all wanted to try him in the stamina, but
yeah.
there's a lot of guys in that tier even who are that type of stamina character, I guess. So that makes sense that someone would get left out.
One meta I'd like to see him explored more in is doubles as well. Even though you wouldn't think he'd be that great in doubles, I feel like whenever I like see these random teams get Ryu in doubles, they like I feel and maybe not every time obviously, but it feels like for the most part they do better than you think they would. So again, that's I might in the testing time brackets I might throw him in there just to see how he does. But yeah, again, not really surprising that he went unwrapped. And then the only $1 character that did not get picked was Bayo, which is not surprising at all. I think it's more surprising that someone picked Sheik. uh,
Sheik's funny at least. Bayo's just sad.
yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to, really. I think meme value is definitely very important in a $1 pick.
hmm
Like, I mean, we got some real ones that are repping Ken Masters out here, right? Um,
I think only one. There's only one Ken, and I think that is the Going Gold, one of the
I mean, that's
newcomers.
just good taste.
Yeah. They.
I mean, Leo famously tried to make Sheik work for like 4 weeks or whatever that was last year, right?
hmm
So Sheik's
Yeah.
always gonna have her fans.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that is very good to see that. I think there's 86 characters in this game. 79 out of 86 characters were repped for the Spring Open, and even then,
That's pretty good.
yeah, and even then, like one
I
of
mean,
those
that
is like an asterisk with Daisy, because again, there's still like Echo Fighter is being repped there. So
if this is the type of thing that can be replicated in the regular season, then I'd say just based on that alone, the salary cap format is a pretty huge success.
yeah,
If we can have this kind of roster variety, and I guess we'll see if that carries over to the playoffs, or it's just the same kind of team comps that end up dominating the divisions and whatnot. But
yeah,
yeah, that's kind of huge to see so much variety going on all the modes every week.
and like some of those
That's that.
characters are for sure gonna get picked, like in the draft, like Gunner, Rob, Sword Fighter, like absolutely those characters are gonna get picked, like at least one of them. I feel like most of these characters besides Bayo are gonna get picked at least once. So yeah, that's just yeah the variety. I think the salary cap is working the way as intended, and that is good. It warms a league commissioner's heart. Do you have any other character like, trends that you picked up on?
Um, Not really. One of my questions I've had going into the draft, which I don't know if this like has answers that necessarily or not, is well, I guess this just leads into our fourth point that we have here. I kind of wonder how people are building their rosters. Are you starting with your big money player on down, or are you looking to scrounge the value out of the bargain bin first, and
Yeah.
then just saying, everyone this tier and above is like gonna be decent enough where I'm not gonna get shut out of this event. So I'll just take whoever's left. But I want to make sure I get the $1, $2 guys who clearly shouldn't be there. Like
hmm
who's going to go off the draft board first? I think that's the most interesting question to me personally.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah.
just talking about, I guess, yeah, to segue into this next part, just talking about trends within the team rosters in general. Um, Over half of the teams in the Spring Open do not have a $6 character. 18 out of 33 have no $6 characters, and five of those 18 teams who don't have a $6 character don't have a $5 character either. Like you see teams like User and Ice here, who
Shopping in the bargain bin, Moneyball, Mike.
yeah, you have User and Ice here who have uh all nine of their characters are ranging from the $2 to $4 tiers, and then of course you have like the big I guess question mark of this bracket, uh BP with the huge outlier of only a
Just
$21
20
team.
$21. That yeah. I,
Everyone
I laughed when I saw that.
everyone $3 or below on this team. We shall see how that team stacks up against the rest of the field here, but I mean, I
You know
think
what's funny? I look at BP's team and I'm like, I think that would be a pretty good team in the regular season. But that goes back to my question of like, how many of these guys are going to be taken before you can get
Yeah,
them?
exactly.
Right? Like, I
Because
don't know if you can plan on building that exact team at the draft because there's limited slots.
that is like one of the more interesting things that opens up with the salary cap is that it's not just gonna be like the top tier characters that get taken off the board, like you said earlier, where
Right.
like we could very realistically see a like $3 or even $2 character be one of the first ones completely taken off the board, which we've had that in years past. But that's more just because of the character being really popular, like a Game and Watch or a
Yeah.
Marth. But I mean,
And
like,
the past couple years, the good +3 guys go so early because it's a
yeah,
fucking wasteland in that tier. So
yeah.
you don't want to end up with Rosalina or some bullshit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I would not be surprised to see like a $3 or $2 character, or even like say like a Little Mac if he stays in $1. I could see him going off the board very early too. So yeah, uh, I guess another interesting trend to pick up on was of another thing being introduced here is that you can only have like 8 characters on your team again, and we do have 5 teams within the Spring Open here that are utilizing that strategy. And do you see any of them really going far in this bracket? I know you've been a bit of a down player of the filler character strat. I'm not saying that's a bad
I
thing, but
I don't think it's good. I think in this bracket, I could see it being better than the regular season, but if I'm facing someone and I know that they can't swap in their bench guy at all because they're useless, and if it's if it's at a point where someone has to be benched because it's week 5 or later,
hmm
um, they might be completely throwing squads. Like that's something I haven't looked into, but like just how useless is your -3 ZSS
yeah,
or whatever that is in squads,
I did
right? Like, are
run.
you just throwing that away completely? I don't know.
I think in the salary cap test bracket, like the first one that happened like right after the UDL season last year, uh, I think Krillin, who's one of the teams who was utilizing that strategy here, also utilized it back in the salary cap, and I didn't even give him a -3 like bottom tier. I think even -3 link, and even still he looked like garbage, absolute garbage. He like was a filler slot. So yeah, I and I think he got like easily swept 2-0 in squads. So I feel like it's not the type of thing where it's like an insta loss. Like obviously you've seen squads, like we've obviously seen 3 stocks like happen a
Yeah.
decent amount, but like yeah, we're talking about how squads is like kind of like not a fully 50-50 mode, obviously, because like you have some people who have had really good records in there, but like it's the record where like people will gravitate more towards 50-50 overall. Not the record, sorry, the event where people will gravitate towards a 50-50 record overall. Even the better
Hmm.
teams will usually. So and that's really not type of mode where you want to be losing like constantly, and because that's just
Right.
so
Take it from me, that shit gets old when you just lose squads every week
yeah.
when you feel like it should be even. It's a bad feeling, so I would not do that on purpose.
Yeah,
But
I'll
we'll
be
see if it works.
yeah. I imagine.
Counterpoint to this,
Oh,
Mike, keep in mind what you're about to say. VP last year didn't do this exactly, but he did do the streaming spot thing
mm-hmm.
with his ninth,
Yeah,
which is certainly significantly better than a -3. But similarly, like locking in the fact that what his 8 are gonna be because he keeps swapping around and all that shit. For the most part, you know what his 8 are gonna be,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it felt like that predictability aspect of it what didn't really hurt too much. Um, I'm kind of curious if people are going to do that strat more this year. Like it didn't seem overtly extremely broken. He basically just used FS as a streamer spot throughout the year, and then he had to commit to hero for like the last whatever that was 4 weeks plus playoffs, which is kind of a big limiter
Mm-hmm.
with that in theory. But yeah, um, maybe this going with 8 and just not even bothering with a ninth is this year's version of that. It could be.
I I am interested to see how many teams are gonna end up using that strat in the actual season. I feel like if it does happen, a majority of the time it's gonna be from teams that do have auto drafts, and it just happens to end up that way. But we shall see if people will like if we're
I think so too.
yeah, if people are there on draft night manually drafting, if they do decide to forego that ninth character and just say screw it, I want my 8 here, and we ball. Yeah, I think that's mainly it for the trends I found within the team rosters. I think that again I do like to see all the varieties in like team building strategies already within here, because like you have like a couple teams like, interestingly enough, these two are going against each other in the first round, like Tribal and Theo, where Tribal has 4 characters from the $5 tier, and then his remaining 5 characters are just $7 combined. Like just seeing teams like that versus the teams that are like more like well rounded amongst tiers, like having like
Yeah.
about one from each tier or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I guess that actually segues pretty nicely into the final part here. Are there any parts of the bracket, the Spring Open bracket, that you are really keeping your eye on to see how they play out?
Um, Me when it's my first time looking at the bracket live on stream. Um,
I can start if you want me to then.
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I guess I might be a little biased because it is my part of the bracket, but I do feel like that last bottom quadrant is like full of absolute killers in there.
Yeah,
Like,
Microwave Tribal Theo. Yeah,
like Kawishi. I think even Squix. Squix is someone who's never signed up for a UDL related thing before. Their
more
roster is still
CPU
pretty good.
2020. Was that 22 or
23.
23?
23.
23 legend.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, that's Squix. They actually might even sign up for UDL this year. They haven't signed up for more stuff lately. And also Soul versus Weeb, two rosters that are like mostly filled with Fire Emblem characters on them. Like their rosters are
Incredible.
very similar to each other. Uh, I feel like that part of bracket, that I can see literally like almost any team winning that last little quarter of the bracket there. It is very volatile. I would say also the uh I mean, I think your quarter of bracket too, the very top one. Obviously, like the 16 versus 17 seed matchup is always going to be super crazy in a tourney like this. Like Leo versus VivTech
Leo,
immediately.
yeah, that's a pretty strong match. And
Uh,
then Ace Kunzera, obviously, Sickest versus Gold, myself versus Parkour. I feel like me and Sickest have faced off in the playoffs like 100 times the past couple of years. It's turning into a little bit of a classic matchup.
yeah, I mean,
Um, yeah.
not even talking about a specific part of bracket. I feel like some of these lower seeds who like ended up being lower seeds because of don't have any UDL like experience. I would still watch out for them. Like Septo in those tests, I think Septo placed like top 4 in all 4 of those testing time brackets, and I think he has like all of his characters he used in those brackets on his team. So
Yeah.
he's definitely one to keep your eyes on. Going Gold, who is one of Septo's friends, they haven't entered tourneys that much, but like they seem to have pretty good grasp of the metas that they do enter, because I think they've actually won a decent amount for not even entering that much. Theo, again, them versus Tribal in round 1, they've similarly built teams, like a lot of like $5 characters on their teams, and then just low cost for the rest of it. I feel like that's going to be a heavy hitting matchup, especially for a 6 versus
Mhm.
27. Yeah, and just seeing people who haven't like really, who've kind of underperformed in UDL just in general, but who have done well in CPU stuff in general. They know their stuff. Their teams haven't really been able to put it together. Like user Smet. See if this can be their breakout events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that framing of it a lot, Mike, because, it is March Madness season.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of sports analogy in there somewhere. It is March Madness season, and everyone knows that the only shit anyone actually cares about in March Madness is do you guess the upsets correctly,
Oh,
you know?
speaking of which, I guess a little plug. Because I feel like it was kind of a last minute addition on the challenge bracket. I'm giving a $5 prize to the best prediction on challenge.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
So can you guess the upsets correctly?
we already have
You
7
know?
predictions in right now, so it's gonna be pretty competitive for that $5. But hey, it could be you.
Do you think H-Tune's gonna be like fuck, who's I don't even remember who's the one seed that lost in round one. I think
Virginia.
there's a couple of Virginia and then there was another one.
I don't remember the other one. I'm not gonna
Whatever.
lie, but
Anyways. If you get that right, I'm pretty sure no one else is gonna guess that. So, do you go gambling? Let's go gambling, etc. Yeah, do the bracket predict. I'm gonna do that too. That sounds fun.
yeah. All right. Are we wrapping up the first episode of the year? Is this Are we good, or do you got anything? Any last
We are
words?
we are wrapping it up, I believe. Thank you for showing up to the 50 podcast. Reminder again, this one wasn't too structured from us, but if y'all have any ideas, suggestions on format and stuff like that, once we get to the regular season, definitely let either Mike or I know. Wherever DM or message, I'm sure Mike's gonna be posting this in whatever channel it is. If you comment under there, same idea.
Should be on
Um,
the Smash GPU channel now
yeah.
too. Moving all the 5.0 stuff over to there.
Oh, that's
So
huge. Big announcement. Smash
yeah,
GPU YouTube channel. Getting some more use. That's awesome. But yeah, man. I'm getting excited. Should be a fun year. Um, I'm getting so very
I
excited
know it's
for draft day.
it's.
The draft day banter is excellent in the Smash GPU server, people. Um, yeah,
I mean,
that's it. It's really the kickoff for summer
mhm,
for the past couple years.
we're honestly probably about less than a month away at this point from the signups going out at least. So yeah, and then like about 2 months away from the season starting in general. So it's coming up. It's coming up soon. We're gonna get there very soon. And yeah, I'm just excited to get back into recording the 5.0. And yeah, let's just make it a good fifth year of the UDL.
Let's do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
See you guys then.